Well, welcome to Ray Pope's little photographic museum. I decided that I thought it would be a good thing, rather than keep all your photographs stored away in albums and bring them out at Christmas or funerals or something, put them on display so that everybody could come in and have a look round. And I found this to be very successful. I've got here visitors books that we have. Many of them are filled up, and I'll just read one thing from this, if you like. Richard Hall came in from Penarth, and he said, "This is my 14th year in visiting. It opens up my past life like no other exhibition." A photograph here, which is the Home Guard back during the 1940s war, taken in front of the rectory, the Vicar's Place. And I've counted, there's 45 chaps in the Home Guard, but now there's only about 2 of them left, so rather sadly, so time marches on, shall we say. Now we come along to my father on his horse. He was in the Welsh Yeomanry in the First World War, and now again we've got a collection of photographs of Woodborough Railway Station, which lots of people, of course the railways were closed, and so lots of people can't remember that at all. But there's a good collection for them to look at, and there causes quite a lot of interest. Which is my prize photograph really, or one of them. It's a photograph of Alton airfield, photographed by the German Luftwaffe during the war, and was discovered by Mr. Bolwell. He was in the army in Germany. He went to the reconnaissance place, and he come across this photograph of Alton Barnes. All the Honey Street football teams, which were very successful from 1920s onwards really, more or less nearly all local boys, and they did very well, which showed up on the photographs with all the cups they hold. To the schools right back through till 1900, before that. And what strikes me, there's so many children in this village school. Well, it must be 40, 50, 60, something like that. I wonder where they all how they all get in the bedrooms at home. But anyway, there we go.
Population actually was quite static between about 1870 and about 1970. It's only recently that they've increased in number. But what Ray was saying about how they all got into bed reminded me of the story of one of the families in Peace. I think it was the Amers, had 20 children, and the story was that they had to sit on the stairs to have their lunch.
Well, now we've come to the Pope family photograph and family trees, which will go back to, we're back to 1798 or something like that, Rog?
It's before then.
Yeah.
The earliest record of the popes around here is the marriage of John Pope and Jane Dimer from West Overton, which was in Stanton St Bernard Church in 1693. And the popes have lived, well, I mean, Stanton St Bernard's over there about a mile.
Yeah.
They've lived within this area ever since.
So we've been pretty well established.
Pretty well established.
For a long time.
Yeah, in fact they say you've got to be a pope or a bailey to be buried in Alton Barnes Church. This is a photograph of my grandparents, Anne and Bill Pope, in the field out in the back here. All those children there are their grandchildren, and surprisingly for a Wiltshire village, 8 of those children were born in a South Wales mining village. the village of Tonnerevel, and several of them, until they died, retained their Welsh accents, although Grandma brought one of these families back to this community during the Depression. The letter is from my Uncle Fred to my Uncle Morris. Morris was the oldest member of the family, and he went down to Tonnerevel at the beginning of the 20th century, and he married a lady down there, and they had 3 children. She sadly died shortly after giving birth to her 4th child, who was also a girl, and Uncle Fred, who was quite close to them, went down to live with Morris and help him bring these little girls up. And this letter I found amongst the effects of one of these girls who went to live in America. And when I visited their daughter in Miami, she pulled out a whole load of boxes of stuff that were her mother's, and amongst them was the original of this letter that Uncle Fred had written to Jess, as he called her, and Mott, as he called Morris, to tell them about the accident that he had had in the First World War. Uncle Fred was in the Machine Gun Corps, and he was caught in an explosion and his eye was blown out. And well, actually his eye was damaged and then subsequently removed. And the story of that, which is written in this letter, is actually quite horrendous. Dear Jess and Maud, in case you've not heard from home, I've lost my right eye last Tuesday in April at midnight. We were going up to the trenches. There wasn't half a noise going on, and all of a sudden something happened. I found myself on the ground and thought my head was off and in pieces, or such thing. The blast of the explosion took me full in the right eye of the face and bunged my right eye up. As soon as I realised what had happened, I could tell the eye was spoiled. They took it out the next day. It made me feel sort of stupid for a day or two, and I wasn't half sick to about an hour after it happened. My coat and equipment belongings is up there where it happens, and it can stay there. I guess somebody has cadged some of it long before. The shell knocked a lot of us out. They put a pad on my eye and wrapped some bandages around my head, and then the ones who could walk had to make their way to the dressing station. I was practically blind by then and half stupid. Some chap who was slightly wounded got hold of my arm and we went back to the dressing station. I fell in a big hole on the way. I can remember that. In one place there was a blinding flash and an explosion. I felt it in my face and I thought it was another shell and my days were numbered. But it was one of our big guns. We were close by when she fired. We got to the dressing station after a few difficulties, or rather the other chap got us there, and then we were told we were not allowed to go in. The man with them told them, but this chap is blind. He said, can't help, he said, only stretcher cases are allowed in there. That done it. That meant we had to tramp back. It must have been a few miles with transport, ambulances and all sorts rushing by. A transport officer shouted, is that wounded? We said yes, going back to the dressing station. All right, he said, I'll give you a lift and put you down there. Of course I couldn't see. Now I'm going to gallop. Do you think you can stand it? I said, I think so. I'll try anyway. And we quite nice on those roads, you can bet. He put me down at the dressing station. I don't know where it was. I remember saying to the doctor there that I'd lost the sight of it. He said, you will have to have it out to save your life. They put me on a stretcher and I was travelling for hours in Red Cross cars, feeling half stupid and yet really conscious of all that was going on. They got to the base hospital under canvas, and after I'd been there a few hours they took me to the operating theatre. They gave me gas, and when I woke up my eye was out, but I didn't feel any difference then. It just did after I got it, and it doesn't worry me much now.